Hello, my name is Dale Maley. Today we're going to talk about an interesting little project I just finished, and it involves how to hang LED lighted stained glass panels on an interior wall. And if you're in the stained glass world and you start learning your trade and learning how to build panels, pretty quickly in your house you figure out you run out of exterior window space. There just isn't enough windows to display a lot of panels. So one solution to that is to build wood frames and then use LED lighting to light up the stained glass panel. Then you could hang those wood boxes on an interior wall. So in the last couple of years I've solved the problem: how do you build a wood box to hold your stained glass panel, and then how do you use LED lighting to illuminate the stained glass panel. And if you're interested in that concept, I've made several other YouTube videos that explain how to do that. Okay, so you've got a wood box made that holds the stained glass panel. It's nicely lit with LED lighting. Well, how do you hang those wood boxes on an interior wall? So one option to hang the wood boxes would be make holes in the wall and then use screws or other fasteners to hang the boxes with the stained glass panels from an interior wall. Another option would be, I recently learned about museum quality adjustable wire hanging systems, and I'll review those in a second. But what are some of the pros of using the museum quality system? Well, you don't have a lot of holes in the wall that you might have to patch later, and also it's easily adjustable in both vertical and horizontal directions. In fact, it's easy enough you could actually swap out different boxes at different times. And what are the cons of using the museum quality system? Well, it's relatively expensive, as we'll see. And one question is, they're really made to hang portraits and pictures, framed pictures. Are they heavy enough to be able to hang the wood boxes with this type of system? So what is a museum quality hanging system? Well, one is shown on the right here, and basically it's an aluminum bar that you typically mount up next to the ceiling. And then from that bar a steel wire hangs down from a small hook, and then at the bottom you attach another special hook, as you can see, and that allows you to move the wire right and left easily, sliding the top hook. And then you can take the object and move it up or down with a specialized hook on the bottom. Okay, so the next challenge is, how do you attach the wood box that's holding the stained glass panel? How do you attach it to the special hooks on the hanging system? Now, I've been involved with a previous project at our historic Stravell House in Pontiac, Illinois, and I learned that picture wire works much better with these custom hanging hooks than the typical old sawtooth hangers. However, on the Stravell House, those are all framed drawings or paintings, so they're only about 3/4 of an inch thick maybe, and we have 20 or 30 of those hanging in one large room. So one major question is, will the museum quality hanging system handle the weight of the wood boxes? So I weighed my wood boxes that hold the stained glass panels. The heaviest and largest one weighed 18 pounds, and most of the rest of them were around the 12-pound area. So the system that I chose is rated at 30 pounds per hook or hanger, or 60 pounds if you use 2 hooks and 2 hangers. So since my max is 18 pounds and they're rated for 30, the museum quality system should work fine for my wood boxes. So I chose the same system that I've used before at the Stravell House in Pontiac, and it's sold on Amazon.com. I bought a basic kit which covers 18 feet in length of wall space. It's rather expensive. It's $253. And if you divide that by 18 feet, that's $14 a foot. But the good news is it does include everything you need, the bars, the steel cables, the hooks, etc. And I know from experience it works very well at the Stravell House in Pontiac, Illinois. As I stated before, those are not wood boxes. They are 3/4 inch or so paintings and portraits. So after I received the museum quality hanging system from Amazon, I unpackaged it, got the rails out. Really had a dumb question looking at the rails: which way does the rails go? And fortunately, they had a little illustration included with the instructions. It's actually for putting on the plastic end cap, but it shows you what orientation the rails go when you put them against the wall and then up close to the ceiling. And I would say the instructions are pretty good as instructions go. So the next step in this project was to actually install the rails. So I have my basement is drywall on top of 2x4s. So I screwed in the little plastic hangers into the studs every 16 inches on center. And I did read the instructions, which I usually don't do, but they suggested that you make your joint between two of the bars in the center of a stud. And the little plastic piece that's screwed into the wall that actually holds the aluminum to the wall is wide enough that you can put that on a stud and then have like your left hand rail cover up half of that, the right hand rail covers up the other half. That way both rails line up perfectly when you're looking at it with your eye. Another important thing I learned, I thought, boy, it would be tough to thread that aluminum rail through 3 or 4 of those plastic pieces. But I read the instructions and it says you can actually pound on the rail with your hand and it will slip into place on the plastic brackets, which was pretty slick. And then if you need to, you can cut the rail with an ordinary hacksaw. I usually take a file and just file off the little sharp burrs you have after you cut it with a hacksaw. Because at the previous project at the Stravell house, I learned that the custom hanging hooks, the lower hooks, they really work much better with picture wire than they do with sawtooth hangers. So I went up to my friendly Ace store in Fairbury and I bought a package of eye hooks and some heavier duty picture wire. I installed the 2 eye hooks a little above halfway, as you can see on the box, or a few inches down from the top. So after I got the picture wire on the first stained glass wood box, I thought no problem, just go hang it from that lower hook and number 1 will be done. However, my first attempt failed miserably. As you can see from the photograph, the top of the wood box tilted out way too far from the wall. And it's kind of obvious using picture wire is not going to work. And you can see on the right hand photograph, if you can tell, there's a big gap at the top and it's hanging at a tilted angle. So it was kind of obvious that the picture wire method would not work in this application. So I checked my inventory to see what else I could use, and I happen to have some hooks, and they have 2 screws on them. They're actually made to put on the side of wood frames for a frame that's holding a stained glass panel. And I thought, oh, they look heavy duty enough. I could try that. I bought those from a website, Northern Hardwood Frames, and they have quite a few stained glass supplies there. And the address is there, but it's basically northernhardwoodframes.com. So the hooks I used on my project are actually shown here from the Northern Hardwood Frames website. They're circled with the red dots, red circle there. They're actually called side mount chain hooks, brass. They aren't that expensive. They don't give a load rating on the website, but they seem to feel pretty strong and seem like they'd work in this application. Could you use something else, like an eye hook or something else from the hardware store? Probably. In my case, though, I'm screwing this in the top. The wood frame is 3/4 of an inch thick. I don't want to go deeper than 3/4 because I might hit one of the LED light strips that are wrapped around the inside of the wood frame. So in my case, I need screws that are less than 3/4 of an inch long. Anyway, I had these in inventory anyway, and so I had to do a little trial and error to get the right hook location on top of the wood box. So obviously you want the center of the hook to be in the center of the wood box right to left. The question becomes, how far back do you put the hook? And my wood boxes are 4 inches deep. Being an engineer, I should have just guessed, well, halfway would be the center of gravity at 2 inches. But I experimented around less than 2 inches, more than 2 inches, and it turned out that 2 inches works pretty good. So basically halfway back on the top depth of your wood box. So once I got the hook in the center of the box, and I went to try the first stained glass panel box, and it worked out great. It actually sits flush against the wall, just like you want, as shown here. And it was easy for me to adjust the position of the box, both right and left, using the top hook, and then up and down using the lower hook. You can see the wire for the power supply for the LED lights. The white wire is going down. So my original plan was to hang 2 of the panels in line with each other vertically. And at this Travell house, where I have portraits or pictures hanging that are only 3/4 of an inch thick, you can actually have one cable wire hanging down and hook that to your first picture, and the cable continues on down, and put a second hook on it, and you can hook down to a second one below it. However, in my case, this doesn't work because the cable coming down to the bottom one, it's sticking out from the wall 2 inches to hook into my box. And if I try to put another box above it, the bottom of the box would stick out at least 2 inches from the wall, so it'd be at an angle and it wouldn't look right at the top. So what I did, I just moved the boxes as close together as I could, such that the upper box did not cover up the cable, and you'll see that in a moment. Now the project is basically completed. You can see that I have 8 stained glass panels hanging on my basement wall, interior wall. You can also see the white power cords hanging down as well. And I don't know if you can see from the picture, but the upper where I have three stained glass panels in the upper position, the boxes do not cover up the cable going to the boxes below, and that works out fine. So my spacing might not be quite regular between all of them, but this is the best that I could do to fit the most stained glass panels in a given amount of wall space. Now here's a photograph that also shows the floor below. Got a white trim board or baseboard in the floor. You can see all the white electrical wires coming down to the bottom. I ended up going to Ace and getting a long power strip that I could plug 8 transformers into. And then one could probably make this look a lot neater. Several options there on the wires. You could bundle them together neatly, then hold them together with tie wraps. Or I could even build like a long wooden box below and just have the wire run into the box and make it look a lot neater. I'll have to work on that future project and how to make them look prettier, but for right now, at least I got all the boxes hanging on the wall and they all look pretty good. Now here's a close-up of 2 of probably my 2 favorites out of the 8 panels hung there. On the left is one I did of our old Fairbury, Illinois Old City Hall, and that was a challenging project because of the lettering mostly that's on that one. That's the biggest one. It's 22 inches wide. The wood box is 22 wide by 32 inches tall, and it weighs 18 pounds. The octagon one on the right is actually, I call that the 1,000-year-old Cahokia spider. We have Cahokia mounds down in southern Illinois. That used to be an ancient Native American large city. Some of the excavations there have found seashells from the Gulf of Mexico that were imported up into southern Illinois, and then those particular people worship spiders, so they found some shells that actually had images of spiders painted on the shells, 1,000 years old. So I copied the design off the shell, enlarged it, and my grandkids really liked the 1,000-year-old spider stained glass panel. So, some closing thoughts on this project. As we have seen, with some slight modifications, a museum quality wire hanging system can hang wood boxes with LED lighting for stained glass panels. And it's fairly easy to install this once you figure out how to attach the wood boxes to the hooks. So, in summary, this video explains how to hang stained glass panels that are contained in a LED lighted box. I hope this gives you some ideas for your projects. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe. Thanks again.